Great morning, holy brothers! Thank you so much for joining us on our pathway to peace inside the Garden of Peace. If you're following along, we're on page 286, and today's lesson is called Regretful Wrongings. Just don't do it in the first place, and you have no problem with it. Okay, wronging once, guess who? Wife. Very good. On the ball. Torah says you shall not wrong one another. Leviticus 25:17. Is your wife included in the other? She's also included in himself, which is the kunz. Okay, so the Torah delineates two types of wronging. Monetary, where one cheats somebody financially, right? And verbally, where one upsets and hurts someone just with your words. Financial wrongings are relatively easy to rectify because you can always give somebody money back. You can always help try to replenish a stock or whatever it might be, because you can give them other money besides the literal dollars that you stole, whether it was crypto or hard cold cash. You can replenish that with other cash. It doesn't necessarily need to be the exact same piece of paper, because the value is what it's good for, right? Correct? This guy's a money man, he knows. Apologize and return the money. First, you gotta say you're sorry for taking it in the first place. You have to recognize your wrongdoing, not just be able to repay it, but also have an apology that is sincere with it. Verbal wrongdoing sometimes are impossible to rectify. The words can never be taken back or erased from the other person's memory, and what other people might think of them also. Even if they grant forgiveness, the pain in their heart and soul may never heal. You can actually say, I forgive somebody.
Which, makes you think that it should be the same. Sticks and stones will break my bones, the world's never hurt me. How untrue that is. Actually, they hurt more than sticks and stones.
Words can hurt tremendously, especially to the soul.
Yeah.
So
even if they hide it well, deep down, they're affected.
It may be physical, but definitely not talking about mental and emotional. It can be way worse than what we're learning here, which right? Again, we said something physical you can be back. You can repay easily. But something that's hurtful, emotionally and mentally, can stick with people for years, or sometimes their whole lifetimes. Very hard. Women by nature are super sensitive and extremely emotional. Therefore, they're readily much more vulnerable to the verbal abuse. So it's like they're already primed. They're already wound up so that when you said something, it's going to fly off.
It's true, because they don't see insults as coming from God. They literally see it as you.
1,000,000%. But again, there's a reason for that.
Right.
But the mirror works the first way, not the second way.
Right.
The guy is the giver,
and
the woman...
You can teach him this concept, like, let's say, in bitachon and emunah, but it will never be, like, because you could insult your wife. She learned 1,000,000 classes of bitachon and emunah.
She'll still get crazy from it. 100%. You see it from real life, practical, everyday examples. The Talmud says a man must be careful not to wrong his wife, for her tears flow readily. Like, it is right. Like, if you say something wrong, it can set her off completely. You say it to guy, he can let it roll off his back, couldn't care less sometimes for your stupidity that's spewing forth.
Some guys take it really hard.
Some guys are more womanly than others too. It depends on their level of masculinity. But the point is that not just like, oh, I'm a man, I'm tough like that too. Women are genetically, biologically more emotional, but that's okay. They have more hormones running through their systems. They have cycles every month. You can't just tell me, that's not true because guys are sensitive too and women are tougher. Biologically, a woman is a woman. I don't care what you dress up like. I don't care what bathroom you visit. God made people certain ways, and that's genetically, biologically how they are. They're going to have these hormones. Yeah, people can have hormone therapy. They can go through surgeries. But inside the body, this is the way it's working. The parts that are there is what were created. That's it.
You can dress a cat as a dog, but it's still a cat.
And because of that, 100%, and because of that, you have to understand the differences. Don't play in your mind certain acts and roles because you want it to be that way. It's not just because you think it or want it. That's not the reality. You have to understand the situation and how to act with what is there the proper way. Super simple. Okay, fine. We'll say women are more emotional, but it's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it helps us get to do what we need to. and for them to react in certain ways without it being clouded with other things. Let them take it to the extreme emotional level so we can hear something that we say, so we understand that it's really bad and harsh. Not just like, oh, my buddy doesn't care, so I didn't do anything wrong. No, you're going to understand what you did wrong, and they're going to show you in a bombastic way. It's going to explode, so you can see it, so you can hear it, absolutely loudly ringing in your ears. It's a blessing and it's a benefit for us. Don't look at it as a detriment. Her emotional sensitivity makes her feel the sting of any of your comments and criticisms. Jewish law specifically states and dictates that one must be extra careful with a wife's feelings. It's written in our text, but this is the reason for it. The Talmud tells of Rabbi Rachumi, who was extremely righteous. With his wife's agreement, he would return home from the Talmudic Academy only one time a year. Again, she was encouraging him to do this. And the eve of Yom Kippur, once on this day, he became so absorbed in his studies that 1 year he forgot to return home to his wife on the one day that he's supposed to see her. His wife eagerly awaited his arrival. Outside, was dressed up beautifully, so encouraged. But when he failed to come, she shed a tear of sadness and deep disappointment. You understand, like the whole year, she looks forward to one day where her husband comes home. Yes, she gave him a blessing, but it built up for how long, you know? So what happened? At the very moment that she shed that tear, the gallery on which Rabbi Ruchame was learning, the whole thing collapsed. And he fell and died on the spot. Gemara tells the story. In this extraordinary tale, the Talmud doesn't say that his wife suffered greatly. It doesn't say that for an extended period of time he was beating her or abusing her. She shed one solitary single tear. And that was enough to bring about the decree of immediate death of her husband from heaven. Although he had no evil intention of hurting her whatsoever. He was learning, he was doing Torah. But the fact that she was so upset by his one action caused his death. Rabbi Ruchame. Yeah.
Wow.
So the question is, what are we supposed to learn from this story? Are we on such a high level? No chance. But the fact that a guy tells his wife something and she's looked forward to it, that's going to cause you tremendous pain and punishment from heaven if it's not taken care of. Then and there. If your wife expects the garbage to be taken out, that's huge. So don't let it get to the point where it's overflowing, where your wife has to get upset. If you know your wife comes home late from work, does not like to see the dishes built up in the sink, don't let it get that way. Don't say, I'll do it in 3 hours from now, because I know she's coming home in 4. Because guess what? Like the rabbi, you can just as easily, maybe even more so, forget. Because you're distracted by 20,000 other things. They may be good things, like his learning. You may be helping the kids with homework. You might be doing work. You might be earning her money. But if something that she's liking or expecting, you know she wants done, set an alarm on your phone. Set a reminder. Or better yet, do it now. Rather than pushing it off till later. Do it now. Take advantage and seize the day. Make her happy when you know things she likes to have done. Even me, if you can imagine, sometimes I forget things. Right? Take care of it the second you can. You're done with dinner, go do the dishes. Don't leave it till 12 o'clock at night. I know she's not going to be home till late, but guess what? You might screw up. Maybe. You're human too. Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz of blessed memory asks, how did this punishment help his wife? Surely his death, right, from her shedding a tear, caused her only more pain and more suffering now, because now she's a widow. Now she doesn't even have a husband. What are you talking about? He explains that our sages wanted to teach us the severity of upsetting others. Even in such circumstances, the punishment is severe and swift in coming. He would often say, upsetting a fellow human being is a burning fire. The Talmud says that all punishments are delivered via a messenger, apart from the punishment of upsetting others, because that punishment Hashem himself hands down, because of how severe it is. The Sefer HaYerayim writes, just as one can upset people with words that are coming out of his mouth, One can upset people with just a simple, sour, fleeting facial expression. Just by a look, by a glance. Husbands often come home after a hard day, and guess what? They have a bitter, sour expression on their face. Because they had a hard day. They honestly did. They had to deal with a lot of garbage at work. And then when they come home, they might know enough not to comment. They might know enough not to criticize. They want to bring that bad energy into their home from what they're going to use with their words. But their face isn't perfect. They might be sour. They might have a tinge of upsetness. It might be contorted a little bit because it's hard for them to hide. But when they walk through that door, you better believe that their wife is able to see the expression on their face and she's going to interpret it. She's going to understand that something's wrong. She might bring it to a much higher level.
Especially if your wife is really good at reading people.
Especially if she's good at reading people. But even the simplest wives.
My wife is a salesperson. She's like, I think I know what she means. And I'm like, how? She said this. She's
I have no idea what that means.
I was like, we went. I forgot to somebody we went to see it, and I was like, oh, that's it. And then we left, and she's like, she didn't mean it. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, no, I'm telling you.
But she said it.
And then it turned out that she was right.
She was right.
I was like, how could she have figured that out?
You pick up on stuff.
Yeah,
because they're sensitivities. Yeah. They're designed and built that way. They have that power that we don't, that we lack. Man, John, it was right over our heads.
Like, what do you mean?
We have no clue.
Why would she say this if that's not what she meant?
But she said it. How many times do wives say things?
Yeah.
They don't mean it. They do not mean it. They might say it because they want to avoid trouble. They might say it because they don't want to upset you. They might say it because they don't want mad or a tsunami coming their way.
Even when they say, let's just be straight with each other, you don't mean that.
That's not true.
That's not
they
true.
do not want you to say what you mean.
No.
There's no way in heck.
I used to be on all these dating apps. Now, you would see, the girls, let's just be upfront. Like, yeah.
Amazing. What a woman. I would have a wife like that.
And then when you go, you're like, there's that one.
Not happening. There's no way. A woman does not want you to tell her insults. She does not want you to criticize her. Even if she said, please be honest with me.
Yeah.
Be honest with her about good things, but not with the bad things. Yeah. There's no way. You don't want to destroy her. You don't want to tell her she's a fool. You don't want to tell her she's always late to everything you go to, and she's always making you the one who's running behind. You don't want to tell her she's ugly when she doesn't look good. These things are not going to be helpful, even if they're true. What are you going to gain from it? A fight that's going to last maybe a minute or maybe 10 years? Are you crazy? Have a little common sensibility. Be nice to her. Be glowing to her. Be helpful to her. Tell her things that are good. Don't tear her down for no reason. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for anybody. Women don't want to hear that. This is problematic. Even the women who say that happen to be listening to this, will hear from their husbands. Let's be real for a minute. Nobody wants to have insults. Even guys don't want to be told they're ugly or they're useless. Everybody likes to hear positive things about them. This is problematic, for a wife sees this as a message that her husband is displeased with her. Even if he comes in the house upset about something else, if she sees his face contorted, she might think that she did something wrong. Why is he coming home and mad at me? And even if he doesn't say it's because of me, she still might think that in her mind. And you don't want her to go down that rabbit hole.
Wow, I can't even lift him up, or she feels
even if she doesn't think it's about her, as he's saying, maybe she feels upset that she can't bring you to happiness. Oh, I can't be a good wife.
Am I can't be his. Or even if she knows the Judaic concept that she's my helper, she's like, I can't even help him. Maybe I have something inadequate about me.
Then you make her feel insignificant. Terrible. Then she can carry that with her to other areas of her life. She doesn't think of attributing his frown, his upsetness, to the 10 people who just aggravated him the whole day at work. Or to the rush hour traffic jam that he was just sitting in. And now he's later coming home. Even though it's sometimes difficult to avoid upsetting a wife, a husband must absolutely 1,000 Google billion% leave his aggravation outside at the doorstep and walk in smiling. If you can for a moment, if you're upset, if you're hurt, walk around the block for another minute. Get back in your car and spend a few minutes to psych yourself up. Think of something happy. Think of something positive in your life. Think of something that you love so that you can have a real joy in your life in the moment. Okay, right now something's burdening you. So replace that with something that you love. Maybe, I had such a bad day and these people said such negative things about me and I'm so upset, I'm hurt, and I'm hating them. But listen, I have an amazing phone. Maybe I got a new model a couple months ago and now it's running so much faster. I can call anybody in my life. Oh my gosh, look at my clothes. I have amazing pants that stretch so much and it looks so good. Maybe I have a beautiful house that I can live in and so many of my other friends.
Even create a story in your head, like something you want, like, oh yeah, I'm living in this big mansion, or I'm a big teacher, or whatever.
Even if you don't have it. But there are so many things you can appreciate in life that we do thank God for. Hopefully when we do His Spodinus, at least an hour a day, we have 20 minutes that we are thanking God about things that I love, things that I appreciate, and those things make me happy. But if not, focus on a future goal. Let's say in a year and a half, I know I'm moving to Israel. Wow, I can be so excited about that. There are so many things that I can look forward to, that even if right now you're not in the zone. And take those things, put it in your heart. Take those things, put it on your face. Say them out loud, maybe, so you can hear it with your own mouth to your own ears. And those things can excite you. They can bring you up in energy. They can bring you positivity. A breach of a promise is another form of wrongdoing. If you tell your wife something and it doesn't get done exactly when you said it would, you are the one who said it. Why would you screw yourself up by setting a timeline and then know that you can't keep it? When a husband says he's going to come home at a certain time, you know how many times I hear this from people? Oh, I'm going to be home at 5 o'clock. Okay, fine. It's 5:30. What's the difference? It's a half an hour later.
It's interesting because in the Torah it says a husband can annul his wife's vows because with her it's all emotional. You probably she didn't mean it, you can annul it. But when you say it, she can't annul your vow.
No way.
You better do it.
You don't have that luxury of relying on
your wife
emotions.
won't be able to say no.
No. You don't have those hormones running through your body.
You say it, you do it.
Concretized. You better do it early. Don't just do it full as Zuri does. If he doesn't be home on time, his wife will be insulted because she takes it as a sign that guess what? She's not important to him. Even for a mitzvah, it's forbidden to be late.
I forgot 2 days ago, like when I was sick, I was still a little sick. I didn't sleep all night, and she called me like a few times later. She's like, "Where's this bag that I bought at the dollar store?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll look for it tonight when I get home." I got home. I was so shot. I went right to bed, and then she brought it up today. She's like, "Did you by any chance find the thing?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna go do it right now."
Oh boy!
I was so sick I couldn't even.
If he hears that he's going to be delayed to unforeseen circumstances, let's say you really plan to get home on time, there's so much traffic. Guess what? Pick up a phone or send a text message. Say, listen, buddy, I know that I was supposed to arrive there. I love you so much. And I was planning on it. And it's out of my control. I did give it extra time. But I'm sorry I'm not going to be there. No fault of my own. But at least let her know then. Ahead of time. Not after the fact. Not, oh my gosh, it's already 5 o'clock. It's already 5:01. I told her 5 o'clock. You knew you were stuck in traffic. You saw on your GPS it was going to take you longer. Don't wait till the time that has passed when you should have been there already. Do it ahead of time. Let her know. And apologize in a pleasant tone. Even if it's not your fault. Still apologize. Be a bigger man. Don't stand on your pedestal. Oh, it wasn't my fault. Why should I be to blame? You shouldn't be upset because I knew I was going to be there on time. And make it clear that he's truly sorry, even if it's not your fault. Apologize to her for not being on time. And everything in life is a good lesson. Apologize for things even if it's not your fault. You don't have to get into an argument because then she's going to feel like it's her fault. And it's not her fault you're stuck in traffic. Right? Wish to be on time. Plan to be on time. But apologize if it doesn't with sincerity and show love with everything that you do. And with that, have an awesome, amazing rest of your day.